You like insanity, you like maniacal killers, this is the book for you.
We might be seeing the rest of this whole universe slowly reestablish itself, which is music to my ears. Welcome back, everyone. It is the Hot 10 Comics. We're here every week doing this video. I'm not usually here every week. I'm filling in for Tom this week. We are here with Jeff, the Golden Age Guru, and here at number 10 on the list, Moon Knight, number 1 from 1980.
This book was cold. This book was freezing, and we haven't seen this book moving. It's even been on the cold list on Key Collector. It's got onto the trending, and now it's on the Hot 10. We had 23 sales above the 12-month average for over $3,200 spent. This is a fairly common book. It's the first Moon Knight in a solo series, a Bill Sienkiewicz cover, first appearance of the Bushman, first appearance of Khonshu. So it's got a lot of positive things going for it. It also comes in a newsstand, and it comes in a direct edition.
And we actually saw quite a lot of sales in both direct and newsstand this past week. For example, in newsstand 9.4, we had 3 copies outsell the average, the highest coming in at $100 for a 37% increase over the 12-month average. A direct market 9.6 hit 120 this week for a 22% increase, and 7 different copies outsold that average this week. Meanwhile, a newsstand 9.6 is up 72%, and a direct market 9.8 had its year-high sale this week for $305 for an increase of 22%, and we had 4 direct market 9.8s outsell the average.
And the most impressive sale is that 9.8 newsstand, which is up 39% for $550. Now, what isn't impressive for me is when Mr. Winterbaum has told us that we are not going to get a second season of Moon Knight, but he's still going to be part of the MCU. So we will see him again. I'm a little devastated because I want him to be more of a main character and not this side act of whatever they're thinking about putting him in.
Yeah, it's kind of a good news, bad news situation, right? We're going to get more Moon Knight. We're just not going to get Moon Knight Season 2. So let us know how you feel about that in the comments down below. We're going to move on to number 9 with a book that we've been talking about for quite a while this year and last year. Incredible Hulk number 340, this classic Todd McFarlane cover.
A book that perpetually seems to be on this list and on collectors' minds because, again, we had 17 sales above the 12-month average for over $4,800 spent on this book. The 9.0 sold for $217. That's up just 1%, but the newsstand 9.0 is up 11% with a $250 sale. The 9.2 is up 22% for $277. The 9.4, which had 4 copies outside the 12-month average, had one up 28% for $338. And the 9.6, 5 copies outsold the 12-month average with a 14% increase on one of them for $425.
One interesting data point I think that is not in those numbers is there were no 9.8s selling this week above average, right? So that maybe tells me that people aren't necessarily trying to let go of their high-end versions of this book, or maybe those ones aren't just selling right at the average. You know, they're not selling above average, hot enough to make them chart on this list. Other things, however, are on this list because of this book. We have a Mark Spears homage to this cover because this cover is one of the most homaged of all time, I would say. And yeah, we just had a Mark Spears homage sell the other day. $117 on his Mark Spears Monsters book with this creepy vampire homage cover.
I've seen a lot of homages of this book. We all have. But this is kind of a different take. It's a monster take, but it's done really, really well. Kind of brilliant, if you ask me. You have Dracula. You have the Silver Cross with the reflection of the vampire hunter. Kind of fun. But it's also important to note the $117.50, that's for a raw sale. Now, we had a graded sale of a 340 and a 9.6. Okay, newsstand edition with a special Todd McFarlane label, which is actually pretty cool. I've seen a lot of custom labels. I like it. It's simple. But this sold for $989. And you kind of make that decision or choice. Is that a good price or not? Because a normal newsstand is around $500. Paying double for something signed in a newsstand with a custom label, I can see it.
And that's about the same price that a direct market 9.8, just plain unsigned regular standard 9.8 copy of Hulk 340 has been going for all year. It's about the same price as this signed newsstand custom label. So yeah, what's the difference there in value for you? I might go for the newsstand. Like you say, that label looks really cool.
Speaking of Spears, we got a mystery mail call, Spears exclusive.
That's true. This month's mystery mail call features a Mark Spears exclusive for Thundercats number 13, featuring a Lion-O right on the cover. We're going to reveal the other exclusive later on this month as well. And of course, as always, you're going to get a couple of back issues in there and a really cool art print, and you'll support our show and everything we do. Please consider signing up over at comictom.com to get your monthly box. Meanwhile, we do this video every week. So let's get back to the weekly video here. Fantastic Four annual number 6 here at number 8. This is the first appearance of Franklin Richards and the first appearance of Annihilus, making it a very important double key.
7 sales above the 12-month average, $1,100. This book was a quarter bin 50-cent book for decades. And only recently has it truly become more of a mainstay in people's collectible minds of something to pick up. And even then, I think there's a lot of growth because you have one of the, if not the most powerful mutant in all of the MCU appearing in this book. So this book in a 5.5 or less is extremely common. So you're going to see this thing moving in all grades for all price tiers for people that's affordable. The 1.0 up 11%, sold for $50. The 3.0 is up 3% for $99, and the 3.5 is up 14% for $100.
Meanwhile, the 4.0 clocked in its highest sale so far this year, $140 for a 32% increase over its 12-month average. The 4.5 is up 23%, the 6.5 is up 15%, and the 7.0 just sold for $331. That's an 18% increase. I'm pretty hot on this book. I think not only does Franklin Richards make a lot of MCU movie spec, we've been talking about like the potential Sue Storm pregnancy stuff that we've been seeing or not seeing in the trailers based on the tricky camera angles that they were using. But I think Annihilus is a really cool villain. Again, I recommended Annihilation on a video recently, on a video with Tom. That's a really cool book to read. It highlights the character Annihilus and the Annihilation Wave and all that stuff. I think that both of them have very cool potential moving forward. And again, as a double key, this book makes a lot of sense if one or the other of those characters doesn't really pan out in the option space. You got the other one to fall back on.
And if you need more to ground this belief that potentially we're going to see Franklin Richards, and you don't trust us or believe us, and I don't blame you, but you'd be wrong because there's been something leaked. There's been quite a bit leaked. Someone's in big trouble. And we saw 2 conceptual art scenes of the Fantastic Four family, including a baby. Not just any baby, this has got to be Franklin Richards.
Correct. The Fantastic Four, Sue and Reed, have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. So this one clearly being the boy here, it implies Franklin Richards in this movie. But again, because this is concept art, this could not happen in the movie. I guess they call it concept art for a reason. This is a conceptual drawing they make before they do any of the actual work for the movie to kind of set the tone and figure out what they want it to look like and feel like. So maybe this won't happen. Probably will.
In at number 7, a book I'm pretty excited to see on this list again because it's not frequently that it appears, only more recently, but we had 6 sales above the 12-month average, over $2,200 spent on Hero for Hire #1 from 1972. First appearance of Luke Cage, first appearance of Diamondback, first appearance of Shades. Damn it, I love this book.
This week we saw a 4.5 hit $244 for an increase of 43%. A 6.0 hit $300. That's 19% up. Meanwhile, the 6.5 could not keep up, $280. That's just a 2% increase over its 12-month average. The 7.0 is up 14%. The 7.5 is up 13%. And here we have the 8.5 selling for $689, 14% over its 12-month average. Why are people looking at Luke Cage? Daredevil Born Again starts tonight, at least as we're filming this. I think all of the Marvel Netflix stuff is just kind of on people's minds lately this week. You'll see a little bit more of that reflected later on in the list. Stay tuned. But just in general, I think it would be very, very, very exciting to get a reprisal of the rest of the Netflix universe. It looks like we're kind of seeing a sort of repeat play out. We're going to get Daredevil Season 1 and then a Daredevil Season 2. Those have both been confirmed, obviously. And they just recently confirmed that Punisher special. So we might be seeing the rest of this whole universe slowly reestablish itself, which is music to my ears.
As this book continues to move up, keep an eye out for other things Netflix-wise. We did see the first appearance of Iron Fist in Marvel Premiere 15, up 1% with a $3,850 sale. Also, keep an eye out for Hero for Hire #2, Claire Temple. That's the first appearance of the Night Nurse as we know it via TV with Rosario Dawson.
Correct, and she showed up as Claire Temple in, I think, every single season of the Marvel Netflix stuff. So if they're bringing back all these other people, and Foggy, and Karen, and Kingpin, and Daredevil, and Bullseye, and all these returning roles, let's get Rosario Dawson back in the mix. She's probably got some free time now that they're done with Ahsoka.
And let's all be honest, she crushed it. You like Insanity, you like maniacal killers, this is the book for you. Number 6, Batman 251. How could you not love this cover? If you've read this book, how could you not love this book? This is the modern Joker that's brought to us the way we like him. Just evil, heartless, cold, and a true villain that Batman has to freaking battle.
This book never needs any sort of Joker movie news or, something cool happening with Joker in a video game or the current comics or whatever. It's just Joker. It's Joker. That's one of the most important issues in his backstory. And we saw 7 different sales this week over the 12-month average for over $5,300 in money moved on this book. I think that's a pretty big deal. There's a couple year-high sales on this one, too, including the 5.0. Had its highest sale so far this year for $450. The 5.5 hit $475. The 6.5 is up 12% at $520, and the 8.5 also had a year high sale this year, hitting $1,200, which is 27% over its recent 12-month average, and the 9.2 just sold for $1,815. That is 6% up.
This book always astounds me how much people spend on this book. I get it's important, and it really is for all Batman encompassing. But the numbers for a book from 1973 you would think is pretty common and should be more accessible and easy to get is actually really, really tough in high grade. We only have 39.8s of this book and only 108 9.6s. So that kind of tells you the availability of this book in such a echelon and high tier of grade.
And this issue is famous because it reinvented the Joker. And currently in the Absolute universe, we are getting reinventions of all DC characters and stuff in different versions of these characters. We actually got a tease of Absolute Joker at the very end of issue 1 of Absolute Batman. He is a different guy. He is a billionaire, and he's a serial killer. He's being flown around in a private helicopter. Something's going on different with Joker, and Scott Snyder's keeping him on the back burner in the Absolute universe. But I think once that character fully pops, we might see books like this spike up again just because people love Joker that much.
At 5, Fantastic Four number 13. 6 sales with a 12-month average, $9,100 for this 1963 double key first appearance of the Watcher and first appearance of Red Ghost, which, if you don't know, is a Russian scientist active during the Cold War.
And as somebody who read all these early Fantastic Four issues, not only is he a Russian scientist active during the Cold War, but he's got like 3 super apes that he's trying to replicate the creation of the Fantastic Four. He wants to go to space with these 3 monkeys and get them all irradiated and superpowered so he can control them. And I don't think this works for a movie. I'm going out on a limb and saying I don't think John Malkovich is going to be playing this character. There's been some speculation that his mystery role in this movie will be the Red Ghost, and I just don't buy it. I think this book maybe makes more sense as the first appearance of the Watcher. I think that key significance might be more valuable in this case. The Red Ghost stuff as John Malkovich, I'm not buying it. We still don't know who he's going to play. I'm thinking Puppet Master. Makes more sense to me.
Pay him his money and get him into a MCU any way you can. If you don't get that reference, you probably were born somewhere with the number 2 starting in the year for you. Go check out Rounders. If you know, you know.
We got a few sales to go over across a whole bunch of different grades, actually. A 3.5 is up 29%, selling for $475. The 4.5 just hit $570. That's a 10% increase. The 5.5 is up 30%, $949 this week. The 6.0 hit $800 this week. It could not keep up. That's just a 1% increase. But the 9.0, that is quite the jump here, $6,026 for a 2% increase over its 12-month average.
While we're on Fantastic Four, let's get to number 4. Fantastic Four number 48, first appearance of Silver Surfer, first cameo appearance of Galactus.
We had a 3.5 hit $859 this week. That's a 12% increase. The 5.0 is up 11%. The 7.5 is just up 6%. And the 8.0 is up 2%, selling for $3,342. More concept art / spoiler warnings for the movie Fantastic Four First Steps, which is coming out in just a few months. So I feel like these concept art images, there's no chance for them to change any of this stuff. The movie's done. It's in the can. That being said, we did get concept art leaks featuring Silver Surfer this week. We're kind of getting our first look at Julia Garner's character as Silver Surfer, and it's a Silver Surfer. It's someone silver, and it's on a surfboard. That's pretty much exactly what I expected this to look like, so this is a very good sign, in my opinion.
It's been on this list before, guys, and it's going to be on this list again, but it's nice to see that it's finally moving because this book has had major slumps. Number 3, Incredible Hulk 181, the first full appearance of Wolverine. And talk about a book that's kind of also trifecta like FF 48, 49, 50. This one you could talk about 180, 181, and Giant Size X-Men, or 180, 181, and 182. But this book, in a 1.0, sold for $1,075. That's up 3%. The 2.5 is up 13% with an $1,850 sale. The 6.5, even though it's early in the year, had its year high sale, up 2% of $3,200. And the 8.5 sold for $5,800. That's a year high sale as well, up 10%.
And just to clarify, whenever we say something is a year high sale, it has to have at least 5 sales so far that year. So it is early in the year, but it has sold enough to qualify for, a pretty impressive marker this week on the first appearance of Wolverine. And if you're like me and you read new comics, Ultimate Wolverine is something you need to be checking out. That book is 2 issues in so far. It's very early, and if you are a fan of Wolverine, you deserve to be reading this book. It is a very different take on the character. Wolverine is the ultimate universe version of the Winter Soldier. So he's being sent on like covert missions and getting his mind wiped after every assassination that he does. It's some pretty cool stuff. And again, we've only got a couple issues in, so it shouldn't be too hard to track down and jump on early.
Everybody watching here knows what Hulk 181 is. We all do. But if you need something that's going to help you really find the minutia through the broad spectrum of comics that have been published, check out the Key Collector app. It's got a massive database. It's going to let you know what each book has inside and its importance to the hobby and to readers.
It's called Key Collector for a reason. It tells you the key significance of any comic you can pretty much think of, or non-key significance. That's a relatively recent feature too. You can search for books that are considered non-keys. You can catalog your collection. There's a whole bunch of different categories on there. You can learn a bunch of stuff about, like we mentioned, cold keys earlier, things that aren't so hot and maybe good opportunities to buy. All this stuff can be available over on the Key Collector app. Use the code TOM101 to get 2 free weeks of the premium version of Key Collector.
Here at 2 is another key, Amazing Spider-Man number 300. First full appearance of Venom. Classic Todd McFarlane. He's on this list, it seems like, every week in some fashion. An absolutely outstanding cover. Everybody remembers this book when it came out, 1988, and it still continues to impress, probably since I think it hit those newsstands originally.
Some of us weren't born at the time this book came out, but moving on from that, the 9.0 this week hit $475. That is a 2% increase. The newsstand 9.0, meanwhile, it just hit $507. That is a 3% increase. The direct market 9.4 is up 14%. The direct market 9.6 is up 10%, hitting $950. And here we have a newsstand 9.6 selling for the highest it has sold for all year, $1,900. That is a 26% increase.
And while we're at it, we should also mention a book we don't discuss that often, but is very similar, but is Amazing Spider-Man 301. Also sells pretty strong in grades and has basically the exact same image, but Spider-Man in his original costume instead of in the black costume that people were so excited to see him in. And for just a couple examples, the Mark Jeweler 6.5 had its first recorded sale for $112. The newsstand 8.5 sold for $120 in 2022, but is up 4% for $125. And the newsstand 9.6 is up 47% with a $700 sale, opposed to the $475 sale back in April of last year.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I'm filling in for Tom this week. Jeff and I are both going to be down at Emerald City Comic Con this weekend. By the time this video comes out, it should be convention time. And if you're in Seattle, if you're at that convention, you should probably come track us down. Come say hi.
If you want updates of exactly where we're going to be, check us out on Instagram. Golden Age Guru for me, and
I'm at Fire Guy Ryan on Instagram. So yeah, come say hi.
Give us a like, give us a follow, yada, yada, yada. Here at number 1. Drum roll, please. Ryan, what do we have?
For the second week in a row, at number 1, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 129, the first appearance of Frank Castle, the Punisher.
Punish my pocketbook, because we have seen some big sales this last week. The 4.5 had a year-high sale of $930. That's up 14%. The 5.0 up 13% with a year-high sale. The 7.0, another year-high sale, up 11% for $1,504. The 9.0 up 6%. And the 9.2, 3 copies outsold that 12-month average. 1 up 5% for $3,059.
And we've seen an increase of 16 new slabs hit the census since last week when this book was again at number 1 again. It's just exciting. People are excited. We got the confirmation that Frank Castle, that John Bernthal will return to do a Punisher special presentation. The first one of those we've had since the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special a couple years ago. So I'm excited for that. I'm just excited to see more Punisher. I'm excited to see the return of all the Netflix Marvel stuff. Tonight, as we're recording this, is the premiere of Daredevil Born Again. So hopefully by the time you're watching this video, you've already watched the first episode, and maybe even 2. I think they might be dropping the first 2 episodes tonight. I don't want to get my hopes up. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm waiting for years to see this damn show come back, and it's my favorite thing Marvel has ever put in live action.
I get your excitement. We even had a trailer just drop showing a massive battle between Daredevil and Bullseye, which I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen that book here yet, Daredevil 131, but I don't expect it's going to be long before it's on this list. Plus, we had the voiceover of the Punisher dictating what's happening, I guess, in this scene, because I haven't even seen the trailer. It sounds like you have, though.
Yeah, at this point, the show comes out tonight. Maybe just don't watch the trailer. It's good. It's really good. It got me really excited. And yeah, this John Bernthal, Frank Castle voiceover over the whole trailer, I think, goes to show the kind of looming presence that he will hopefully have over the course of this season. I'm pumped.
And I'm jacked. Together, we're pumped and jacked.
I'm very pumped. I'm not very jacked. Got to get back to the gym. Whatever. As always,
geek responsibly.
Enough said.